Today I am reviewing Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I do recommend reading the book before watching this review because it will be a ton of spoilers, but I'm going to give like a very brief and general overview. So the story is about Sam Mazer and Sadie Green, and it spans 30 years as they're making video games together and kind of rising and falling from fame. And it mostly focuses on their relationship and like the hits and blows that it takes that comes with their fame and success. So, like I said before, there are spoilers. You have been warned, and these are just my opinions. If you share them, great. If not, cool. So, first, I'm going to talk about characters. So, first, we're going to talk about Sam, who was definitely my favorite character. I felt I gravitated towards him a lot more than I did Sadie. I really liked his representation of pain. He had a very traumatic experience with his foot, and I thought his journey with that was very realistic, and I loved how it tied to him as a character. It wasn't kind of something thrown in there to make him more likable. It really was the essential being of his character. I feel like we could all relate to his desire to want to be seen as strong because on some level, none of us really want to be vulnerable, and I think that was represented very well in Sam. I thought his anger, like every emotion he had, I was very with him. I thought he was very valid and justified in everything that he thought. As his character progressed, I really appreciated the role he took on as a leader. I felt in the beginning he was very like detached from the video game process, and so I really appreciated that he took his kind of positive qualities of leadership and confidence and like being able to talk to people. I like that he translated that into stepping into the role of Marks as the book progressed. I really one thing I hated, I was really frustrated by how much he isolated himself, and I know that was like really part of who he was and very much tied to his foot, but it was just so frustrating because he kept doing it, and I'm just like, please just talk to someone. You need help. We all need help. Just have a conversation, please. Moving on to the second protagonist of the story, Sadie. I hope you can see by my face that I do not like Sadie. I felt like she took absolutely no responsibility. She was very self-righteous and very self-absorbed, and those are like my two least favorite qualities in a person, in a character, whatever. Everything everything that happened to her was someone else's fault. She was very much the victim of the situation. Like her relationship with Dove, the game's failure, the company they went with, her getting no recognition, everything. It was Sam's fault. It was everyone else's fault. She never took any responsibility. And when she couldn't blame anyone else, she would like completely self destruct. And it was really frustrating to see because I wanted her to have a relationship with Sam, which I'll get into more later. But she just, she took everything out on herself and she really just combusted. And the entire second half of the book, we're waiting for her to grow and evolve like a character should do, and very stagnant the entire time. We're just kind of waiting for her, and it's really not happening. And then like literally the last page, we're like, oh, she's kind of getting there, but that's really not where the growth should be happening. There was really only two moments when I was able to empathize with her character. I thought it was her relationship with Dove and Marx's death. I thought with Dove, she was in a very difficult spot, like professionally and as a woman. It was very hard for her to kind of squeeze into this industry without Dove's help, and being in a relationship was kind of part of the deal. And Marcus's death obviously is a devastating blow to her, especially, kind of having to take care of a whole living baby with no one's help and kind of dealing with the depression and the sadness that came after his shooting. But it was unbelievably frustrating that she never grew from any of these moments. If anything, she sunk down further, that was really hard to watch. And I do feel like becoming a teacher at the end was kind of a step back for her. I felt like she should have either like completely removed herself from video games and then kind of come towards the end, or if the book was longer, maybe she started a rival company or something like that and really push the theme of like commercial games versus like artistic games and kind of the differences between her and Sam to really drive their relationship home. And finally, Marks. I didn't know he was going to die, but the signs were all there and I really should have seen it coming. I didn't mind him as a character. I thought he was a very calming presence for the storm that was Sadie and Sam, and I felt like he served that plot device very well as a character. But he was only a plot device. Like, he was really only there to balance out Sadie and Sam and to be a really, devastating catalyst for Sadie's self destruction. And it was evident that he was only a plot device, which is why I was confused why he had like these little mini chapters that were about him. He was a stagnant character, and I feel like he didn't really need those. And that's all I have to say about him. Now, plot. I really have all positives for the plot. I usually don't like books that span like a long amount of time, but I thought Gabrielle Zevin was really able to pull this off very well and keep me engaged without kind of having me lose interest. I have never read a book about video games, shockingly. My whole experience with video games is like Just Dance and Mario Kart, so I didn't pick it up for the video games, but I certainly didn't put it down because of that. I thought it was a very artistic representation of something like I'd never seen before. Like, I'm not sure if that even really translates into real life, but I thought like watching their process was very interesting. And I really appreciated how the author kept having them fail and having them succeed again, because I think that's really an important part of life, failure coming after success and success coming after failure. It's like nothing in life is a linear journey, and I feel like Gabrielle Zevin was able to capture this very well. Now, relationships. This book is marketed as a romance, and I was beyond confused when I found out that Sadie and Sam did not get together, but I think it was right that they stayed friends, which is rare for me because I love to see everyone coupled up like a Disney Channel prom episode. So when I first found out, I searched it up, that they weren't going to end up together, I was understandably upset, but as I really thought about it, I kind of started reading the book with the perspective that they weren't going to be together, and I thought it really made sense. I thought like for sure they were much better as friends, and they were never really in love. I mean, Sam had this moment when he was like, I'm in love with Sadie and I don't really know what to do about it because she's with Marks. But he was not in love with Sadie. He just wanted to be the one for her. He wanted to be the one with a special relationship with her that would be like defined for the rest of their life. And, for most of us, that is love. And we never see platonic working relationships anymore. And I thought Gabrielle Zevin did a phenomenal job with this, and their chemistry was undeniable, but it was strictly platonic, and it made sense that it was platonic. And I really liked Sadie said something towards the end where she was like, our relationship, this is better than romance, and I completely agree. Now, Sadie and Marks, I don't really have much of an opinion on this relationship. I thought it was fine. I mean, I didn't love that like they kind of were able I didn't love that they got together. I just felt like it wasn't built up very well, and I understand that this isn't, supposed to be a romance book, and it's supposed to, be very grounded in reality. But I felt like for me to be able to support them, I wish I had seen them interact a little more. So, based on everything above, I give this book a solid 6 out of 10. I really enjoyed it for the plot and for what it was. I just didn't love Sadie as a character, and I thought there were some elements that weren't pulled off as nicely as I would have liked to see them. Now, what can we as writers learn from this book? Number one, your main characters do not have to get together, and it will not disrupt the entire universe. They can have a platonic relationship, and people always say that, and even I love to put my main characters together just because, I think it's, because we want to read, because we want to enjoy what we're reading. But I still enjoyed this, and I still thought they shouldn't have gotten together. Kind of writing off the back of that, your characters do not have to be likable. I think this really keeps them grounded in reality. I know we all know that they're supposed to have, misbeliefs and things that they do that make them not perfect. But I feel like even just pushing the limits of between like not perfect and not likable, I think that's a really interesting dynamic to see in a book. Last piece of advice, you can write a book about literally anything and have it be interesting. Not just for you, but like commercially. It could be very interesting. Do I like video games? No. Did I enjoy this book? Yeah, absolutely. Would I read it again? Yeah. Would I recommend it? Sure. Yeah. I mean, you can write about anything. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to be part of an amazing community of young writers, and check out themarginsproject.com for a writing prompt for this month. Bye!